Welcome once again to our quarterly update for the market. My name is Jeffrey Asselstine, the Managing Director of NelsonPark Property. Our goal in providing these updates is to bring as much transparency as we can to the market to help you with your decisions about where you want to live. And with all the information that's out there and maybe a bit confusing, feel free to reach out to us, have one of our experts get in touch with you, talk to you in detail about what this market means more for you. Get down to real specific advice. By all means, reach out to one of our team and we'll be happy to help you. I look at the rental market right now, coming back to my previous update and where we are as we head into the end of the first quarter, moving to the second quarter of the year. The great thing that was overhanging the market was the World Cup effect. What's going to happen after the World Cup? And I've seen a lot of information in the press about what's going on, and some people thinking, everyone expecting prices to go down, and what exactly has happened. So as with all things in the market, there's no such thing as just one market, right? There's a lot of different parts of the market in Qatar. So I'll try to give you an overview of what we see happening on the rental side. So the first market I'll look at is the Pearl Qatar. So most of you know we have an office in the Pearl right in front of Tower 11. So it's a market we know very well. And what we have seen over the last 3 months as we go into this, again, post-World Cup period, is we have quite a few new properties, and you'll see those advertised on our Instagram page and different social media outlets, as well as our own website. And so we have a number of new towers in Floresta, particularly, that are available. We're seeing increased availability, both with individual landlords and some of the larger landlords. So in general, we've seen some reduction in prices, or landlords offering a grace period, or perhaps offering Karama included or Qatar Cool, depending on the specific landlord. So there's some really good options out there. And what I would always suggest is, when looking at those options, we can sit with you, talk it through in detail about all the options that are available. So you're not just looking at one tower or one building in particular and trying to make a decision. But what we have seen across the Pearl, as the World Cup period is finished, there's been a lot of new buildings delivered, and we're starting to see an effect where the rents have come down to some degree in the Pearl, and there's some good opportunities that weren't there necessarily 3 or 4 months ago. So moving on to the sale, we have a similar situation to what we see in the Pearl, in that we've had a number of new opportunities that are available. And so I would say a little bit less so than the Pearl, but there has been some softening in the market. Again, with both larger landlords and individual landlords, there are a number of opportunities there. So again, we'd encourage you, have a good look around. We're happy to show people around looking at the properties, because there are some good options that are available. As more and more properties are being delivered as the year goes on, I don't see that market increasing tremendously at all. In fact, I think it'll stay flat for at least the good part of the year. And as we look at Lucille, an area that 5 years ago, there were a handful of units available. Now it's just a real booming and thriving part of the city. As more and more companies move into Lucille Marina, there's a lot greater demand for tenants, from tenants to live there. And we have a number of options that we'd like to show you. And the last market I'd like to cover off on the rental side is the sort of Salwa Road, Al Wab area. Very, very popular, particularly with families that are looking for a villa lifestyle and are looking to live near a lot of the schools that are in those areas. I think it's the highest concentration of schools in Doha is around that area. And so we have kind of two parts of that market. We have some really, really nice new build options that are available that we've looked at recently. And those prices, because they're new, they've priced them in a way to be really geared to filling up the units quickly. On the villa side, there's not a lot of supply available. So although we have options, what we've seen from a pricing standpoint, we've seen very little change. And I think when people are saying they expected prices to be dropping after the World Cup, we've seen a little bit of softening in Al Wab, Salwa Road, but not much. So unlike, say, the Pearl or Lucille, that's seen perhaps larger decreases, in the Al Wab area, things have held pretty firm. And we don't see that changing necessarily in the next few months, particularly as people are looking to make moves before the summer period. So that side of the market still continues to be fairly buoyant. Rents have been holding to a large extent, and we see that continuing on for the near future. So moving on to the sales market. Again, I'll compare it to the rental side to some degree, and I think a lot of people were predicting, or perhaps hoping, that there would be declines in the prices of units. We've not seen that in the market. If anything, we've seen prices hold very firm since the World Cup. There are a number of excellent brand new options that we brought to market through our developer friends that we work with. And we've seen really high volumes of sales on those developments, as well as also in the secondary market. We've had some really good activity with a lot more buyers coming to the market than we've seen previously. So I would say that our inquiries from a sales perspective have doubled over the last quarter compared to the previous quarter. I'd say double, maybe even tripled from the previous quarter. So there's been really good increase in the number of inquiries, or people are looking at buying. And on the value side, we've seen very little change in some areas. We've seen, in fact, actually increases in values. The infrastructure development that's going to be happening in Qatar latter part of this year, I don't see any major price changes happening in the market in the near future. The one thing that can affect the market that is not very Qatar specific is what is happening in the global economy. As we're recording this, again, coming into the last week of the first quarter, moving to the second quarter, we see some dark clouds, frankly, over the U.S. and over Western Europe from an economic standpoint. Sadly, the war in Ukraine continues to rumble on, very tragically. So those two big macro factors, the war in Ukraine and with what's happening economically, not only in Western Europe and in the U.S., but perhaps globally, that's really just a bit of an unknown where things go the next few months with that. So I think that could potentially have an impact depending on how things go in those two major areas. Lastly, when just talking about sales, when we're talking to sellers, one of the key things to do, and one thing we'll be working on our clients with more and more as we go forward, is making sure we have that right price, that we have the right price from the beginning. No surprise that when a seller is selling, they want to get the highest price. And when a buyer is buying, they want to get the lowest price. And what we want to do for our customers is ensure that we help provide a price which will get the property sold in the market. So please reach out to us. One of our experts will sit down with you, analyze the market, what's happening, what's been recently sold, compare that to the property that you have for sale, and hopefully provide you the right price to get your property sold as quickly as possible. And as you're seeing this market update now, you'll all be aware we're well into the holy month of Ramadan, and I just want to wish all of our clients and friends that celebrate the holy months a Ramadan Kareem.